Today's 983rd day of Here's Lessons of Learning. I'm learning. I hope this will support your dreams, your goals, allow you to become the person that you want to become. Today I speak about identity. I don't speak about the card, identity card. I speak about personal internal identity that we have, every single person. I think that identity is a very, very important thing because the way how you see yourself will dictate what kind of actions do you take. But it's very, very hard to execute or take action that is not in according of your identity. That's why a lot of times people try to change their behaviors, but they always fall back into old behaviors because we fall into what we believe we are. So if we believe that we are certain people, we will create the habits to really align our behaviors with our identity. And that's why identity is a very, very powerful thing that we need to develop just to make sure that our identity is supporting our dreams, not taking away, not self-sabotaging our goals. And today we'll focus on the things that really influences our behavior, identity, and of course our identity influence our behavior. Because when you know that your identity are influenced by so many different things, you're able to really start looking how you're able to use those things that influences and use not just automatic, because we're able to be intentional how to use those influences and really change our identity, because we're able to really change our identity for the best. So number one, of course, the easiest thing that really influences our identity is life experiences. So it could be major life experiences, of course, small life experiences. Of course, all of them are influencing in a big way. It could be like sometimes our identity could shift tremendously with that major life event. Because I have seen so many men, when they have married, they have kids, they tremendously change because now they have identity shift. Now they don't belong just for themselves. Now they have a father figure. They become a father. The identity shifts, and because the identity shifts, they act totally differently. And I think that there's a lot of things that could major of life events that really trigger a new identity, the way how we see ourselves, because the way how we see ourselves is the identity. Of course, it could be trauma could be from the childhood, trauma could be that trauma that came later on. All the traumas give some kind of bent shift in our identity, and we need to make sure that we understand it. So it means, okay, how this thing influenced my trauma? How this trauma influenced my identity? And I think that sometimes we're able to reflect on that. And again, at the same time, achievements and failures, those could be major life events. And those are able to really change, pivot something, or shift, make a small shifts in our identity. Because when you have a lot of shifts, of course, that could lead and after that make a massive shift in our identity. Number two is personal growth and development. Now, of course, we understand that some development is automatic. So that means we age, we go through youth, adolescence, adulthood, we age, we reflect. Those are automatic. We're not able to really stop doing that. But a lot of times we're able to understand that we're able to invest our time in personal growth. We're able to invest our time to develop ourselves. And those things that we're able to really change our identity automatically. Not automatically, but manually. Because as I said, that age is automatic, but personal growth, intentional personal growth is manual. And you're able to choose that. And you're able to influence your identity by growing yourself, improving yourself, and finding a way how to see yourself in a different way. Number three is relationships and social interactions. That's why there is a massive saying that you, in 5 years, you will become as your mentors or as your 5 closest friends that you communicate consistent basis, or the books that you read. That mentors, friends, and the books that you read. Those are the things that influences who you will become in 5 years. What kind of identity you will have. Some people say, I don't have mentors. I don't read books. So that means what is left? Only friends, only the social circle that influencing your identity will be in 5 years. You need to be very, very careful. If you have mentors, you have books, Now, though, the influence of friends will be a little bit reduced, but still it will be massive, but it will be a little bit reduced. But if you don't read books, if you don't get mentors in your life, that means that it will be massive influence by just friends, that social circle. It could be family, friends, could be maybe social networks. Maybe you don't have friends. Maybe the people that you surround yourself is just your family and coworkers, and that's it. And of course, what kind of community you are part of. That is very, very, very important to understand that what kind of identity you will build, because what kind of community you belong to that you feel at home. A lot of times we will learn how to align ourselves with that community. Number 4 is cultural and societal influences. It could be that we have some kind of cultural exposure, that we have that community, that culture, that they act a certain way, that they do certain things, and we'll be able to really be influenced by social movements or maybe even media and technology, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of them have some kind of things that they like put out, and we're able to see that. Of course, we need to make sure that we're able to protect our ears, we're able to protect our eyes, because those things that are influencing our identity, what we see and what we hear, are the things that influence it. We need to be very, very careful what we able to see from external things telling us, because sometimes we able to really attach the things that we hear to our identity without really understanding where it's coming from. Because that is a big thing, is that knowing that external things that you listen to, that you see, even though that you do not agree, makes a small shifts in your identity if you're not careful. Number 5 is educational and professional experience. So that means that what kind of education do you get? What kind of professors, teachers educating you? Because that will dictate what kind of identity you're able to build as well. Because that's, again, makes a shift, because profoundly impacts development when you think about education. And at the same time, career changes. We are working with a company. In that company, we have some kind of culture. We have some kind of identity. We have a person that you belong in a company. You have a face in that company. And after that, you move to a different company. And it might be that because there is different people, different values, different beliefs, different everything, different culture, it might be that you will be will need to adapt, shift, and your identity will be influenced by that, 100%. Now, of course, I don't say that you need to change completely, but your identity will be influenced by external things, by new surroundings, by the new environment, 100%. How much? Of course, that's it depends on you, but of course, will be some kind of influence. Number 6 is health and well-being. Your identity will be influenced by your physical health, by your mental health, by your body image, by your emotional health. All those healths are highly influencing your self-image and identity. Of course, if you are overeating, if you are not taking care of your body, and you really are a little bit bigger than you're supposed to be, and maybe you're not proud of the way you look, now, of course, it will be a bent in your identity. It will be different. But if you are taking care of your body, if you exercise, you eat well, you sleep well, you take care of yourself. Now, because you take care of yourself, your identity will be different, because you believe that you're worthy investing time to really take care of this body. And I think it's very, very important to take care of mental health as well, because the better you take care of your mental health, the better and stronger you feel about yourself, the better you will choose your identity. Because a lot of times identity is a choice. How do you see yourself is a choice. It's a choice, again, at the end of the day. How do you want to see yourself? Now, of course, we're able to develop that identity. We're able to mold, because identity is very, very moldable. We're able to really adjust, pivot, shift. But again, it's a choice. And if you want to choose well, you need to have that mental health in place. Number 7 is geographical or environmental changes. That means geographic. That means it might be that you reallocate to other locations. Maybe environmental changes. That means that you're able to really move. And I have moved so many different times. In the last 12 years, I lived in 36 different locations. And because of that, I lived in the east of the US, I lived in the western US, I lived in Canada, in the north. So I seen a lot of different people. I lived with people from New York, I lived from California, I lived from Oregon. So I know that from Atlanta, Georgia. I know that different people from different regions communicate differently. They value things differently. I think that has really allowed me to see that every single time when I move, I'm able to adjust open my mind, get more perspective. And that more perspective allows me to choose more my identity even better, the way that how I want to be seen in the world. And because I appreciate different people, because I see different people, because I see that there's so much more, the way how be able to see things, I'm able to choose from much more wide net of what kind of identity could be in every single person. And I think that that perspective is very, very important. The more identity you see in other people, the better it is easier to see in yourself, and how you're able to adjust, pivot to make sure that you're able to choose the best identity for yourself. Number 8 is political or economical factors as well. That means that, of course, political climate in the area, in the country, will dictate what kind of identity will choose, because impact of society in general, political identity will influence. Of course, it's not a massive impact. I don't say that everything is equal impact, equal influence on your identity, but political or economical status of yourself on the country will dictate what kind of identity do you have. And that's for sure. Economical, like the more money you make, a lot of times we change our identity. Now, I understand that we're not supposed to say that our identity is attached to money. It's not supposed to be attached to what we do. Our identity is supposed to be attached to who we are. But at the same time, even though that's what's supposed to be in a perfect world, that we attach identity to who we are, not what we do, and not what we make, not what we have. But at the same time, the things that we do and the things that how much money we make is a small influence on our identity, because it's very hard not to really see in external results and not to look into how that is aligned with our identity. Because there is a small influence of what we have and what we do to our identity. And I think that we suppose always work towards really making sure that our identity is attached to who we are internally, because you want to be somebody, not do something. And of course, a lot of times what you are will dictate what you do, and at the same time, what you will have. Number 9 is spiritual and philosophical influences. So that means that of course, if we are part of religious conversations, religious changes, or some philosophical or philosophy, and be able to really reflect on those shifts. That means that if you're atheist, or you're Muslim or Buddhist or anything, and now you start to look into other religions, other faiths, and you really start questioning all the self-doubt, all the doubts, or those things will allow to really question your identity, to adjust your identity, just to make sure that you're able to be the best human being possible. Because identity is the thing that really allows us to live by core values. And at the same time, those philosophical ideas, the philosophical questions that allows us really to question the meaning, the purpose, spiritual questions. So there's so many things that we're able to really discuss, reflect on, just to make sure that we're able to really find the best identity for ourselves. And those things highly influence our identity. And the last thing that really, we need to understand that identity is very fluid, and we're able to understand that when we look into other people's identity, sometimes we're able to understand our own as well. So that understanding that becoming the best version of yourself will require not just ourselves, but being able to be aspired by other people. And I think that when you start to understand that how fluid identity is, and a lot of times we say, okay, this person is this way and this way and this way, and as we say, successful. So if you want to be successful, that means you're able to change your identity, but in your authentic way. You're able to change your identity in your authentic way, in our authentic way. I think that's a very beautiful thing, and I think that we will need to transform ourselves, because I think that this is the biggest part in really personal development, is that we have ourselves, who we are, and as sometimes we say that we need to kill ourselves internally, that we could evolve, transform to something else, and that means that we kill our old identity to create that new one, to that new could be born. And I think that is when you think about that old you, is that identity that you are carrying. And I think that we need to understand that we need to transform ourselves from a bug to the butterfly as often as possible. Because I truly believe that we able to really evolve, transform ourselves very, very often, because we always falling short, even though we are content and grateful for what we have right now, but we always need to seek to transform, find those things that we're able to develop, find the way how to communicate better, be faster, stronger, better, have more empathy, more courage, be more brave, more empathetic, more leadership. All those things could be developed when you be able to really change our identity, our beliefs, our values. All those things could be improved and be able to serve people and add value to people even more. So I hope that you will reflect as well, because identity is again one of the topics that we could speak for hours straight. I think that today, tomorrow, maybe I will focus on really what we're able to do to develop and change our identity. But today is just really what are the things that influences our identity. Now, there's a lot of things that influence us, and we need to be very careful. Otherwise, we will find ourselves short in our identity. So I hope you choose to win, and see you tomorrow.